Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and I just wanted to make sure that anybody who's new to the broadcast understands how we do this. We do the first little bit, making sure that we update the regular viewers on news and views of our viewers. And then we go on to the topic, which today is Soul Work Sunday. And if you don't want to listen to the news and views, although interesting to listen to because you'll be able to see how people interact and support one another. But if you don't want that, then all you do is if you look below on the notes below here, it'll say from 00 to something, it is news and views, and then from another time onwards, it is the topic. So if you don't want the news and views, you can just jump your cursor and just move it along until you get to roughly where the topic starts. All right, so I hope that helps for some of you. I'm going to completely have confused my viewers because I had to change the link. Hi, Jody. I'm sorry that I had to change the link. I was all set up, and for some reason, it didn't want to broadcast on that link, so I had to change it. So, whenever I'm most organized is when I end up in the biggest problem. I don't know why that is, but it's true. All right, so you love this color. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And while I think about it, the contrast color, the base color today as well, Jody, just so you know, lipstick-wise, is one of Judy's ones. But I'm using a Revlon one on top. So, of course, Murphy's Law, yeah, bound to go wrong if I think I've got it all organized. So the contrast color is a Revlon color 220, color short, color burst, matte balm. How about that? Okay, so that's where we're at. So I'm certain I will have completely messed with the viewers because I changed the link, but we'll wait for some of them to find us, hopefully. Let me just actually hi, Alice, Ali, good to see you. Happy Sunday to you too as well, sweetie. I'm sorry for the mess up with the with the link. I had it all set up beautifully, Ali, and then life got in the way and it didn't want to broadcast on that particular link, so never mind. I was just saying, in case it's important to you, the base color I have on is one of Judy's from her Pixie selection, and then the top color, this one, is a Revlon Color Burst matte balm. So there we go. And thank you, Amy. Good to see you as well. Hi there, sweetie. All right, so thoughts and prayers before we get into the topic. I just wanted to, I hear that although Erin's had good news this week, I hear that she might need a little bit of emotional support. So if anybody's got time to write her a note and say hi and wish her well, it would be a really nice thing to do. Lauren has been quieter than usual, so I think as well, any support we can give her this week would be awesome. Jody has had a difficult week, but she took control of it. I'm so proud of you, Jody. You really did seem to, get your ducks in a row and say, okay, fine, it's not going to change unless I do. That's the feeling that I got from you. And you inspired me a bit because as you know, I had a tough week. I was down with some sort of virus or I think it was a virus, but Jody thinks it might have been an autoimmune thing. But whatever it was, it laid me low all week. I was struggling to even blink my eyelids all week. Do any of you know that feeling? And so what I did, did Nana just sprain her ankle? Okay, Jody will make a note of that, so we'll add her to the list. That's awesome. Thanks for letting us know, Ali. How did she do that? Or should we not ask? It's really amazing. You'll forgive me saying this, Ali, but, your grandma is or your Nana, whatever you call her, She does a lot of damage to herself, shoulders and arms and goodness knows what else. Yeah, so never mind. We'll find out. I'm sure she'll let us know. So, but thanks for letting us know. I'll make sure we put up some thoughts and prayers this evening for her. Yeah, I got a feeling it's because she goes like a bat out of hell. You know what I mean? And she does first and looks later is my sense of it. All right, we haven't heard from Pat and Bill this week, so I don't have any updates on their family member, but I did hear from Nana that the family member that they were concerned about, was sent home until they can get something sorted out. I think he's got some other issues going on. Yeah, but before that, Jody's saying, didn't Nana just drop paint cans on her foot? Yeah, but then, a couple of years ago, she went fishing with Rick and she ended up dislocating her shoulder, I think, just about. And I don't think her shoulder was ever right again. And so, she really does do a number on herself. And I've often wondered why. As far as I know, there are no birthdays or anniversary this week. So if you know of any, let me know. I know we've got an anniversary coming up, I think, or Rick's birthday, I think, comes up on beginning. And I think, who else is it? Andy's birthday is coming up soon. Okay, Alyssa, she didn't give me that extra information. So just be careful about passing on family information without her permission, okay? We'll pretend we didn't see that. I'm sorry to hear that, yeah. But thank you, honey. Big hugs to you and the family on that one. Now, my question is, what good news do we have? We have good news about Leah. She reached 2,000 subscribers recently, for those of you who know Leah. So that was awesome. What other good news do I have for you? Let me think. Oh, Amy's saying that she thinks she's made a breakthrough. Yeah, in what way? Amy, and let me know in what you type whether I can share it or not. Okay, but congratulations if that's what you've done. Amy, sent me an incredibly interesting situation, which I'm certain a lot of you relate to. And, unfortunately, and that's sad news for her, an uncle passed. But do any of you relate to this one? The way she found out about it, hi, Island, the way she found out about it was over Facebook. How many of you think that is really not the way it should be done? And, obviously Amy was upset, but what I was trying to explain to Amy is we cannot change other people. However crass you may think that is, and a lot of us do, what is the expression? You can't fart against thunder, right? Some people just don't get it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, Jody had a similar situation, Amy, yes. So she totally understands. And, it just is, as I was explaining to her, it just is what it is. And, reaming them out for it actually isn't going to change the way they do things at all. So for any of you who know this one, how many of you have learned not to try and change other people? Right? Because what you end up doing is losing even more than you've already lost, in my view. Because really, you just have to let them be who they are and try and love them as they are, not as you wish they could be. It's the old Disneyland story. Remember on the Friday evening broadcast, we were talking about, yeah, but that's in Disneyland. It doesn't happen in our real world here. So, wow, is that okay for me to share that? Yeah, Jody, if it's one of those things that if I could, go back to my 20s, I'd like to know that people are going to do what they're going to do. And, Don't ask why they do it. Don't try and fix them. They're going to live their life their way. Just get out of the ring. Okay, so Amy's saying that she told her husband, I believe it's your husband, right? That since she's existed, she doesn't think she's ever been happy except when she married him. I don't think I know how. Well, that would be, my love, Amy, big hug. That would be because you have not spent time on you. You spent time trying to please everybody else. Yes, I was pretty sure, but I'd like to make sure I got the right information. Thanks. So Kim is her husband. So you understand this, Kim. And, you know, when Beth comes in, she will tell you that she understands that. And so we will talk more about that. And hi, Pat, I was just talking about you. How's your family member doing? All right, just while we're waiting for that answer to come. So. Okay, that's the best we can hope for, I guess. Wow, Amy, yes. She says, and I'm presuming I can carry on quoting you, that you understand that if you carry on now, I'm going to keep quoting you, right? Because I've asked you once. Yeah, Pat, but you know something? I've known some people that came back from stage 4. Okay, so this is Amy's interesting point. She says, at this point, I don't give a flip what my extended family thinks and feels, their loss. You know, and you know something strange, Amy? That is actually fairly healthy. And because she's asking me, am I wrong to feel like this? No, you're actually getting healthy to feel like that. It's not that you don't like them. All right. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Pat. You know, it's not that you don't like them, Amy. It's because they just are going to do what they're going to do. So as I said to you when I wrote to you, you keep doing the right things. You keep acknowledging their birthdays, you know, and don't expect them to reply. If you expect them to do what you would want them to do, you're thinking Disneyland again, all right? Does that make sense, Amy? And we want to help you be happy with you. And when Beth comes in, if she comes in today, Beth would be a really good person to work with you because she's really done a good job on that. On the other hand, Jody is a really good person to work with as well because she's also in a wheelchair, as is Lauren. And we should actually have you guys all hook up together at some point. Amy said, I don't expect anything at this point. I'm just going to get on with my life and work on my recovery. That is exactly the right thinking. Work on you, not them. I don't know how many times I have to say this to people, you know. Yeah, I can hear that you could probably do with your own little support group there. So Jody will make a note of that, and then she will remind me if I don't do anything about it, because she's very good at being my assistant. Round of applause here for Jody, who takes notes of all these things. In case you are ghosting, and ghosting is when you're listening to this broadcast, maybe on a replay, or you're actually live on the broadcast, but choosing not to be in the chat. A couple of things I want to tell you. That the chat is, within about 5 minutes of my having closed down the chat, which will be at 5-ish, I will disconnect the written chat, so people won't be able to see names, just so that you know that. If you want to come into the chat, but you don't want anybody to see your name, then I would say come in under a different name if you can. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I'm certain somebody has done it, so they'll probably tell me. The other thing is, if you're ghosting, please know you're more than welcome. And if you've got a topic that you'd like me to discuss, then please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and I will add it to the list of things that I will talk about in the coming future. However, if I don't, remind me, because as everybody here will tell you, I'm not a perfect person. I'm just a human being. And sometimes my intent is really good and my time management isn't as good as my intent. All right, that's good. We got that one out of the way. And then if you want to get updated and keep in touch with me in terms of the regular broadcasts, please make sure you go to the little bell that I believe is here in the top right-hand corner. Could somebody confirm that there is a bell on your screen? I know what I see is different from what you guys may see. So could somebody just confirm for me that somewhere in the top right-hand corner near my beautiful face, there is a bell? And so if you want to be updated as to when I'm going live, that bell, I think, will give you warnings and also actually tell you when I've gone live. So. Oh, Amy's saying that another positive memory that she came up with was that she went to Windsor Castle and loved it. What did you love about it, Amy? That's an interesting one. And just to give a warning, we're at 16:30 probably, Jody, that we're going to do a time check on. And we will be doing our soul work. If you'd like to have a piece of paper and a pencil, some of you like to do this as a mini workshop where you can write down what comes up for you, because that's really good. Oh, went to Windsor, Canada. Sorry, I thought you said that helps if I wore my glasses. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. What did you love about Windsor, Canada? That's in Ontario, right? The other side of the moon for me. You know, I'm on the West Coast. I'm sitting here with the nicer weather. Okay, we'll find out. Thanks, Jody. She's multitasking as usual. All right, so here we go, guys. Soul Work Sunday. And let me just see who's on. Unfortunately, I can't see that. All right, so I got it. Hi, Linda, just in time. You're always welcome to be here any way you choose, Linda, and I'm glad you got the kettle on. There's nothing like a cup of tea. And hi back to you, honey. For those of you who don't know, Linda joins us. She comes under the name of Missy Moo, and she joins us from England, which, what time is it there now? About 8 o'clock at night? 7? So, welcome. All right. I am about to start Soul Work Sunday. And the way that this goes, guys, for those of you who haven't done it before, I'm going to read a quote, and the viewers who are joining in will give me what comes up for them when they hear that quote. Oh, you're right. It's not noon. For some reason, I thought it was noon right now. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Linda, you're right. It's nearly, well, you'd know what time it is. It's nearly midnight. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, sweetie. So I'm going to read the quote, and then the workshop side of it is the people will give me what comes up for them when they hear the quote. And then, if necessary, we'll discuss it a bit, and then we go on to the next quote. So if you're ready, if you've got a piece of paper and a pencil, if you need one, anybody need a bit more time? If so, let me know. And while we're waiting for that, just to let you know, in case you don't know, I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a therapist. I am a human being who's lived a life. And the work that we do here is to support people who are trying to live a happier and better life in whatever way that they choose, just so that you know that. So here's the first one. And I love this quote. I love this quote. And I've got a feeling some of you will as well, which is, perfect kindness acts without thoughts of kindness. How many of you understand that perfect kindness is when you're doing things without actually intentionally trying to be kind? The people who have perfect kindness just do it. It's their way of life. How many of you know people like that? And Even though I know it's difficult to admit for some people, how many of you are people like that? Or why don't you give yourself a score? If you had to score yourself on your acts of kindness, how would you rate yourself out of 10? Well, Jody, you see that in me. I don't necessarily see it in me. Isn't that interesting? I don't see what I do as, but you are right, of course, because that's how you see me. So you must be right. All right. Linda's saying she knows two people like that and she loves them for it. I'm pretty sure that there are people that see you as that person as well, Linda, if you were honest. All right, so Ireland's saying when it's done from an innate compulsion inside you rather than having to be taught to be thoughtful, kind of like people that do charity but have to parade it all over everybody that they're doing it. Yeah, for the genuine cause and keep it to themselves. All right, so you're saying that if there's humility attached to it, then you accept that. Yeah, Amy's saying, how many of you relate to this? I've given my all to people and, been taken advantage of, so I stopped. Please, Amy, don't let other people stop you being who you are. So you just need to find different people to be kind to. But the difference is, because if you let the bad people control who you are, then they have control. And you know how much you hate that. So to me, it's about just be who you are. And if you are a nice person, you will do nice things for people. I always think about Yvonne. Yvonne is not a perfect person, but she is a pretty kind person. You know what I mean? The only time, how many of you do pretty well until somebody stomps on you and then, that monster from inside you comes out? I'm really trying to control that one. And the thing is that's part of my learning, right? Is how to control, and I'm going to say it, my bitch from hell, that when she gets triggered, and that's my body of work, is to control that and to not let other people control my emotion. How many of you really want to do more work on that? And I think if you are in your most serene and best relaxed state, being kind is easy. How many of you would agree with that? Yeah, Amy is saying that I'm working on a program and it makes it hard when I get stomped on. Well, you know something? We all find that. And we're all working on that one, Amy. So you're not alone. And by the way, you are more than welcome to vent to us whenever you need to. Yes, Jody's giving an example. Take, for example, when Pat does those beautiful quilts and gives them to family, friends, and charity, and even to our viewers, and so forth. She doesn't make a big scene about it, and she'll be upset that I'm talking about it, but I'm just reading what Jody said. But yeah, it's an act of kindness, and I'm pretty certain, though. I've got to say this, and Pat can confirm it. Pat gets so much joy out of doing it. Amy, the whole thing about taking a step is know that a lot of people in this room have taken those steps in front of you. All right? You don't like feeling that way, and it's time to change, right? Because now you've realized that drink's not fixing it and drugs are not fixing it, and whatever. I've always said to people, Amy, that I spent a lot of time in depression in my life, situational depressions, and the interesting thing what I found was the pills don't fix you. That's what I found. Doing something fixes you. Sitting there and being angry doesn't fix you. Waiting for the pills to work doesn't fix you. It's like, okay, the pills were there just to help you cope. And then from that point onwards, you need to do the work. And, you'll be amazed, Amy, how proud we are of you that you're here trying to do the work. That is the interesting thing, because we know that it takes an awful lot of time and effort to come in and talk your truth. And, this is like, that's why we're here. We're here to help you do that, if that's what you want to do. And by the way, Amy, there'll be some days that are way better than others. There'll be some days when you will revert and your queen bee will come out, and, you will not be proud of yourself. So the main thing is, it's learning how to be happy. It's very difficult. I wanted to, how many of you relate to that? Amy said, she doesn't think that she has been happy. And Amy, I need to ask you, and we are going to get onto the topic now, but Amy, before we do, I do need to ask you, were you born sort of into a wheelchair, or were you able-bodied and then became sick enough, spina bifida, I believe, bifida, sorry, not bifida, spina bifida. So did it progress, or did you always have to be in a wheelchair? Because that makes a difference to how you see life, I believe. And by the way, if any of you have questions of Amy on why, then she's more than willing to answer them. So we'll just ask a few each week that she's here. Linda's saying, I'm wondering why allowing yourself to be happy is so difficult. I think we were taught not to, Linda. How many of you would agree with that? How many of you were taught not to think of yourself? All right, because I believe that, especially for women, we were taught so much to not be working, not to focus on ourselves. It was our job to look after others, to nurture others, to, in my case, I wasn't allowed to do the things I wanted to do. Yes, Pat's saying she was selfish if she thought of herself. And so I believe, Amy, that you probably, Amy, because of the fact that you had the spina bifida, you probably had people around you saying, you cannot concentrate on your illness. You need to concentrate on other things. And what happened was, you heard that you couldn't concentrate on yourself. You needed to concentrate on everybody else except you. Yeah, and Amy's saying that, as of age 23, she had to have a foot amputated as well. So you understand that that's a difficult life. It's like Jody lived a perfectly able-bodied life, as far as I can gather, Jody, correct me where I'm wrong, and suddenly got cancer. And then the cure for cancer then gave her a huge, a really devastating, in some ways, reaction to the cure. In other words, she put the cancer at bay, but ended up with lymphoderma, if any of you know what that is. That's when you blow up, when your lymph glands are not working properly. And so it was like a blessing that she lived, but what she's been left with is very, very difficult to cope with. And not only that, but she struggles because heat makes it even worse. And she lives in New Hampshire, and you know what the temperatures have been there. Amy, I'd like to apologize. Amy's saying, Sal, it wasn't at the age of 23. I said 23 years ago. And so, that was, you're quite right. But Amy, take a breath. It's okay. And, in reality, we've got a pretty good idea of what age you are. I think we've talked about that. So we got the ballpark, all right? So I understand that I did it wrong, and I apologize for that. All right, here we go. This is a quote that says, of a certainty of man who can see all creatures in himself, himself in all creatures knows no sorrow. Now I'm going to read that again. For some of you, that might be a little bit difficult to get your heads around. So hang on a second. Of a certainty, the man who can see all creatures in himself, himself in all creatures knows no sorrow. Now, what that's saying is that when anybody does, if you're going, oh, she's a real queen bee, and you're going, yeah, but let me see, where's the queen bee in me? Is this a mirror that I am seeing? And if so, let me work on me, not worrying about them. Or if you see somebody that, for example, is really rude to somebody and you're going, gosh, that's really rude. Make sure you turn the mirror around and go, what have I done today or this week or this year that's been really rude to somebody? And I don't care how perfect we are. I bet you it's happened. You cut somebody off on the road, or you got a bit snappy. That's my thing, is I get a bit snappy when I get stressed. I don't mean to, but I do. So that's it. How many of you can relate to that one? That when we can turn the mirror, instead of shooting the bullets at somebody else, when we can turn it around and just go, wait a minute, I've started looking at life as life is showing me mirrors everywhere. That's the way that I live my life now. Something happens. I'm trying to remember what happened yesterday. Something happened yesterday, and I was about to have a little, complaint about it. And I went, wait a minute, what if that's the mirror? Let me have a think here. And what it did was it totally changed my thinking. Can any of you understand how that works? Jody's saying it's quite a learning lesson when that mirror turns. Yeah, Jody. And there are times when I really don't want to acknowledge it either, because I'm not a perfect person. I don't want to acknowledge that I have that problem. Hi, Annemette. For those of you who don't know Annemette, she joins us from Denmark. How are things in Denmark? Well, you sleep really well, and we'll give you a big hug, and you give Jesper a big hug from us as well. And so, funny enough, I was thinking about you. I saw something about people cycling in Denmark, and I go, I know two people that do that all over the place. How are your knees, Annemette? For those of you who don't know, Annemette had problems with her knees, which made cycling pretty difficult. Yeah, Linda's saying, she's saying she understands the mirror thing, but she doesn't like turning that mirror very much. Oh, that is wonderful to hear. Okay, Jody, could you make a note? Just put Denmark equals good knees, because I'd like to make a note about that for the viewers that may still follow us on Facebook and would like to know that. Yes, and that's why I thought I would check up with you, because there's one thing to have it fixed, but did it stay fixed? That's what I was trying to find out. So I am delighted. I really am. So I'm so happy for you, honey. You get some sleep, and thank you so much for taking the time to pop in. And we send you a big, big hug. And hopefully we will see more of you in the future. That is great. And thanks, Jody. I appreciate that. All right, so let's move on. This is quite a long quote, so listen to this one, if you will. Every moment of your life is infinitely creative, and the universe is endlessly bountiful. Just put forth a clear enough request, and everything your heart desires must come true. That obviously is from a guru whose name I cannot pronounce, and I don't want to mess it up either. Came from his writings of creative visualization. Every moment of your life is infinitely creative, and the universe is endlessly bountiful. Just put forth a clear enough request, and everything your heart desires must come to you. How many of you can feel the peace in that? It might not come to you the way that you want it to. It also is one of the reasons why I say to people, please be very careful of what you ask for. Because some people will say, oh, I want a happy life. this ends this life. You know what I mean? So I always say to people, be very careful how you word these requests. I pray for strength. I pray for understanding. I pray for wisdom rather than things. I have a funny story for those of you who like my little stories around these things. I can remember once I had been in, I'd had a lot of trouble with different boyfriends. And I said, what I need, and forgive me for this one because it sounds racist today, but I want to make sure that I say it correctly. But I said, what I need is a little Jewish man because, you know, they really do look after the women better from my knowledge of them. You know, and I am not joking. Within a month, a little Jewish guy came into my life. And it was the funniest thing because I literally went, yeah, did you have to be that literal? You know, and I went, I did, you know, that was exactly what I asked for. And I got it. Wasn't what I actually meant. So I learned to ask for things in a slightly different way. And I would ask that, have any of you ever asked for something and got it and then realized, no, not so much. I might have worded that a different way. And in terms of what you pray for, as I said, I find it works really well to pray for the character that will, for example, I pray that I continue to have the wisdom to keep doing the right things so that all the bits will fall in place. And when I decide to move, everything just about will be on track because I will have done all the work correctly or to the best of my ability. So I don't pray for things anymore. I pray for character, you know, for strength, for wisdom, for I don't ask for money because I watched somebody once ask for money and the person that they love most in their life died and left them money. And so I don't, you know, it's like, no, that's not. And if that makes sense to any of you, you know, it's like, make sure that what you ask for, if you do, I always say, and may it not be of detriment to anybody else. I would like this, but I don't want anybody else to go without because of it, if you know what I mean. So just be careful what you pray for. All right, so let's go on to the next one. And let me know what it brings up for you. Expand in consciousness. Be ready to accept anything now at any time. Expand in consciousness. What do you think that means? And be ready to accept anything now at any time. So if we take I'm just checking. Yeah, Linda, let me ask you because have an open mind. Yes. Linda, do you feel that you have expanded your consciousness with the changes that you have made? Because to me, this is like, I really feel that, for example, from my side, I've really changed my consciousness this year on a lot of levels. Let me give you an example of that. I fought getting a Fitbit for the longest time. I had a very different watch for a long time. And I kept going, I don't want to pay that much money for a Fitbit. And then this year, for some reason, it came to me that, you deserve a Fitbit. and you need to buy one. And I heard that in my head, and I went, okay. And, you know, for those of you who know that I've been struggling for the last few years, I didn't realize it until about 6 months ago, that I was actually suffering badly from sleep apnea. And that's when you fall asleep and the back of your throat actually closes off the windpipe to some degree, and you keep waking up choking, but sometimes you're not aware that you're doing that. And I was waking up 16 times an hour doing that. And I also had what they call restless leg syndrome, which is your legs keep moving. Do any of you relate to that? And that was waking me up another 15 times an hour. So you had those two up. That out of, you know, the 60 minutes in an hour, I was being woken up 40 times. So it's not surprising I didn't get much sleep. The point that I'm trying to say is that when I got the sleep apnea machine, it then told me how many hours I was on the mask. But what I do is I'm inclined to put that mask on early so that I just don't even think about it. By the time I go to sleep, it is very much part of my being. You know what I mean? So the mask goes on while I'm busy watching, something on Netflix or something. And then I will just automatically turn over and go to sleep. So that's fine. Now, why am I talking about the watch? Because what I found out from the watch, and I wonder if I can show you, and this is where the reality was, although I thought I was sleeping enough hours, I was not. All right. I actually would never suggest that you do that, Amy, on a program that goes out to the world. But anyway, you have. So if anybody wants to contact her. All right, no problem. So you'll be able to catch up the rest of it. Okay, Pat's saying she took all the caffeine out of her diet and got rid of restless leg syndrome. I actually am taking a calcium supplement, calcium and magnesium, and that's really helped. But thank you for that. So other people need to know that taking caffeine out has helped. All right, so I just wanted to show you that this is what I get every day. I get a feedback on how much total sleep. If you look at, I'm going to expand this a bit, so that you can see. All right, so if you look at that, the red is when I wake up. The light blue is what they call REM. That's when you're in rapid eye movement. The basic here is light sleep, and then this is deep sleep. But yeah, love, light, and peace to you as well, Amy. So, but the reason I like it was it told me that last week I averaged real sleep, not on the mask, but real sleep. I averaged only about 5.5 hours a night. And so I can either say, oh, that's really bad, I need to go and get drugs, to help me sleep more. Or I can say, and some of you understand this, I need to change what I'm doing so that I do sleep more. And I have started to not deny myself a nap in the afternoon. Because if that's what I need to make up some extra hours, I am now aiming for 7 hours a night. And I'm up to 6.5 average right now after a week of being aware. So to me, having a watch that tells me that I'm doing that, it has really changed the way that I live my life. So I just want to let you know that's one thing people don't think about. The other thing is it really encourages me to get up and take 250 steps during the walking hours, and waking hours, not walking hours. Yeah. But, it's like it reminds you to do things. And I've literally worked that out that, I need to get up and do something with a little bit of energy, not just slouching around. Need to get up and do something with a little bit of energy. That can be cleaning a window. That can be filling a box. It can be organizing stuff and so forth. But not just, You know what I mean? Taking the easy route. So that's what I'm learning to do, and I've done quite well on that. This comes from the Buddha, and I think a lot of you will know this quote, but I just want to make sure we repeat it. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life for tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. So I read it again. What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday. And our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. So for those people who want to be happy, does it make sense that they've spent a lot of time being angry at other people, or trying to take control of other people's lives or whatever? Believe me, I know that one. And so what we have in our minds, we're always saying, oh, why do they do that? They shouldn't do that. Da, 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 da. So now I actually catch myself going, I can hear my little voice from where going, well, why did they do that? And I go, because they did. Let it go. You don't have time left in your life to worry about why people do things. And from my experience, asking why has never got you the answer. Linda's saying, filling a box. She heard me say that. That reminds me, what's this week's task, Sal? Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm busy downsizing and trying to get my house ready to sell. And it's taking a long time because I'm not doing enough, because I haven't really worked out what I want to do. So here's the thing. Linda, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes made now. And my task is to fill those 5. What's yours? You don't get to ask me that one without getting my... Has anybody else got anything that they want help with one step at a time? Hi, Kerry, welcome. And the next quote is one that I quote very often. And it comes from Dr. Jerry Jampolsky. And he said, love is letting go of fear. And so I would ask you for this coming week, what fear would you like to let go of for this week so that you can love yourself better? For me, it would be my fear of people judging me because I'm taking too long to get ready to move. Okay, so Linda is public here, Jody. Can we make a note here, right? About 1 day shredding left. And then I need to sort out leftover paperwork and put into plastic sleeves by the weekend. That's a lot to do. Yes, Kerry is saying that she needs to let go of her fear about her car. For those of you who don't know, Kerry's car had a problem, and she has got her fingers crossed because she saw a car a couple of days ago, and she'll find out tomorrow whether it's hers or not. So we'll all keep, thoughts and prayers on for you that works out the way it should. So Kerry, the way that I believe this is if we all believe for the best outcome. That means if it's not the car that's going to be trustworthy for you, that you probably won't get it. Do you understand? To me, it's like, let us pray for the right outcome on this one. If it is your car, the one that's meant for you, then you'll get it. And if it isn't, yeah. So I don't want you to necessarily get the car unless it's the right one for you. That it's one that's going to make you happy, not one that's going to just continue to give you nothing but problems. All right. So, but please let us know. Let me know on, so I can put it up on Facebook. All right, so here we go. The Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh again. He does a lot of great stuff. Are you ready? Take a deep breath and just see what comes up in your mind as I read this. How much longer will you go on letting your energy sleep? Oh, this is good for me today, isn't it? How much longer are you going to stay oblivious of the immensity of yourself? Don't lose time in conflict. Lose no time in doubt. Time can never be recovered, and if you miss an opportunity, it may take many lives before another one comes your way. Wow. Let me read it again. How much longer will you go on letting your energy sleep? How much longer are you going to stay oblivious of the immensity of yourself? And don't lose time in conflict, lose no time in doubt. Time can never be recovered, and if you miss an opportunity, it may take many lives before another comes your way. Yeah, Linda's saying, thank you, Linda. She said, that's what I've learned from you, Sal. It may not be what I want, but it's what's right for me when it's right. Yes, and I believe that totally. And Pat's saying, it's going to take as long as it takes, and I am prepared. I'm adding this, but and she's prepared to wait until it's it's obvious that it's right. And so I think it's really interesting in so many ways that. But you hear the other side of it, which is, do we let our doubts and fears stand in the way of not moving forward? I definitely have been doing that. And that's why I said to you guys, I need a bit of support here. I really need to stop thinking, I know what's happened to me. I think because I'm pretty sure I'm going to downsize completely, that I'm going to need to go through everything one more time and then get rid of 2/3 of it again. Now, that is pretty scary. You know what I mean? And so I really have to stop thinking like that. What I need to think about is get things into boxes. If you've got time at the end to go through those boxes again, do it. But otherwise, just get them into boxes and get them marked. And if necessary, pay for storage for a year. So that's my new thing. And how long does it really take? So, Linda, how much time are you going to give to doing that task? I think that's the important thing. In your reality, with all that you have going on in with your life, how many minutes a day are you going to do that for? Even if you sit down one time and do the total of all those minutes. So, for example, you might say, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day. But you could actually sit down and do an hour's worth without stopping. So doesn't matter which way you do it. It's like, just let's make sure we don't overtax you. Some jobs I found that I no longer say I'm going to do the total job. I go, I'm going to commit to doing so many minutes a day, because I find I get more done that way. So, for example, filling a box, if I gave myself half an hour a day to fill boxes, you understand what a difference that's going to make in my life. Because I will do more than half an hour in reality. Yes, Pat's going back to this, your speed is the right speed for you, right? Pat's saying it's different for everyone. So I can only trust myself enough to do it when it's right for me. Yeah, I agree, Pat. The same thing is, you can hear somebody who's got a problem and you're going, oh, why are they so stupid? Why can't they just see they need to do this, this, and this? Because they're going at their speed. They can't see that the way you can. Yes, Linda, I found that works really well as well. I don't know if you heard me say that let me read what Linda said first. no specific minutes, but each time I pass the shredder, then one piece of paperwork, is going to go in. Yeah. So, I think it's really important. I found that I do that. What I do is I make a total mess on one of the countertops in my kitchen because I know I don't like that. And so then every time I see it, I change something, or I put something away, or I throw something away. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I find that works really well. Or I'll put it on my dining room table. That's another good one. And I find just that every time I see it, I think, oh gosh, I'm going to put something away there. Or just grab a couple of things and sort them out, and that's it. So a good idea, Linda. It works really well. And well done for seeing that. We don't have to do everything, just a little bit every day. So here we go. If you attack apparent negativity with negativity. Okay, Pat, see you. If you attack apparent negativity with negativity, you merely feed and inflame the source. It is always best to take the positive in any conflict. If you genuinely love, or at least send kind thoughts to a thing, it will change before your eyes. Wow, I know this one big time. All right, let's read it again. And just let me know, if you attack apparent negativity with negativity, first of all, how many of you have done that? Somebody bites at you and you bite back, okay? You merely feed the inflame the source. I've always said it this way: if you've got two people and they're pushing, if one person is pushing, the other person will automatically push back, and then this person pushes more, and then this one pushes more. But if one person falls away, then the other person just doesn't have anybody to fight with. Don't be the person that they fight with. Just say, I'm sorry, I don't want to be in a fight with you. I love you. Yes, but no, I'm sorry, I don't want to be in a fight with you. I love you. So if you genuinely love, or at least send kind thoughts to a thing, it will change before your eyes. Yeah, I think that it's really important that we are aware that the reason we have so much negativity in our lives is we are the source of it in a lot of cases. We actually create that in the way that we react to things. And I'm seeing that in a very different light these days. So. And how about this one? This one says, everything I do and say with anyone makes a difference. Hi, Melissa. Everything I do and say with anyone makes a difference. So this is not just don't be negative with the people you love. This is about don't be negative with anybody if you can help it. Practice that. Again, this is not about perfection. This is let us all improve this week. When we feel and hear those negative thoughts in our head, just turn it around and go, yeah, but let me send love instead. Let me not retaliate their thoughts. Let me not think angry thoughts. Let me send love thoughts to them. And if we send enough, hopefully it will work. This is interesting. This says difficulties are opportunities to better things. They are stepping stones to greater experience, and perhaps someday you'll be thankful for some temporary failure in a particular direction. When one door closes, another always opens. As a natural law, it has to balance, all right? So if you like, when one door closes here, if you believe the world is in balance, all right, let me try and show you a visual of that. And if somebody closes this door, then this one needs to open up so that the balance is the same. And if this one closes, this one will open up. And, so it goes on. How many of you have noticed, and it's an amazing thing, I've seen it so many times, where you lose a family member, but within the space of a very short space of time, there is a birth in the family, be it your extended family. Yeah, Melissa's saying, yes, how we approach others and speak to them makes a huge difference. Negativity spreads like a virus. Yeah, and I've actually started saying to people, I can hear you want me to answer you with anger, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to feed this. I'm going to give you some time to settle down, and then we'll talk about this in a different space, but I'm not going to feed this anger. Yeah, but we need to talk about it now. No, we don't actually. We need to talk about it when we're both not emotionally charged. And I will not talk about it until, and I don't want to go there. I don't want to get triggered and say something I regret. I think that's a lesson I had to learn, that I do get to control. I'm not here to entertain you, says Melissa. Yeah. Yeah, it's not my job to be your punching bag either, right? And so, but we control that. We control that by saying, I can hear that you're upset and I understand why you're upset. So why don't we just calm down and we'll talk about this in a couple of days. And by the way, if you'd like to write to me, and tell me more, that's a good thing, because that's a good thing. As long as you can read what they're writing, that's where I fell in the trap for a long time. I didn't read what they were writing and then just go, that's what they think. It's not what you have to believe. And then let it be. I always had to explain myself and prove why I was right. And I don't do that anymore. This is just what they're thinking. That's it. Yes, Linda's saying, even though you think you're insignificant, people will remember what you've done, either good or bad. Right, Linda? It's not just the good stuff they remember. Boy, do they remember the bad stuff too. And that's why I'm saying that it really is amazing when we get control of our thoughts, and it takes a lot of work. I know that. It takes a lot of work. But when we can start doing that, our lives become very different. My whole life has changed in the last 2 years, dramatically. Just because I'm no longer pushing myself to the nth degree. I'm no longer trying to prove myself to anybody. I'm no longer doing that game. This is just, I'm living my life on my terms. All right, here we go. If you're into guilt, you're playing God. The universe is created so it's okay to make a mistake. If you feel guilty about what you have done, you're saying it's not okay to make mistakes. Let me read that again. If you're into guilt, you're playing God. The universe is created so it's okay to make mistakes. If you feel guilty about what it is that you've done, you're saying it's not okay to make mistakes. All right, and that's an interesting thing. Boob's saying, that's the problem with texting. There is no facial emotion attached to it. Sometimes people take what you wrote the wrong way because in their mind, they changed your text into what they want it to mean. That is so true. I've always said, Boob, that what we have, and I saw it explained once somewhere, that this is the sender of information, right? So this happens, by the way, even when you're talking. You talk, and then it goes through a filter, and then this person hears. Do you all understand that? Hang on a second. It's much easier if I do it the way that everybody knows they understand it. Okay, hold on 1 second. It's another good drawing, but it will do, I think, as long as you can get the idea. All right, so what we've got is this person talking, and then it goes through a filter, and then this person hears. Make sense? The interesting thing is we don't control the filter, they do. So as Boob is saying, if this person is in a negative frame of mind and you say something that you meant, it was quite, you didn't mean it to be hurtful in any way. If their mindset at the moment that they hear it is negative, they could hear it in a negative way. Does that make sense to everybody? And so really, sometimes, I'm certain you've all had it happen, where you've sent a text and unfortunately they were already in a sensitive place when they read it. And that's why they suddenly come back and you're going, whoa, where did they get that from? That's not what I said. So it's really important if that happens to you to write back and go, I hear how you read it. That was not my intent. My intent was to say da, 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 and I'm so sorry that I didn't make that more clear in the initial correspondence. The other thing, draw us a triangle. Yeah, Boob's saying that because the thing that we were talking about on Friday evening was triangulation. Yeah. So do you understand that we are responsible for what we send, but not responsible for how they hear it? That's their responsibility. But I do believe when that happens, when it goes wrong, that we need to let people know what our intent was. Now, they don't have to accept it, but you do. I think it's really important to go, wow, wait a minute. I understand you heard that in a way that you heard it, and it wasn't the way I meant it. I have to let you know my intent was to send you, a fun message. And for some reason, you didn't read it that way. And I'd like to just make sure you know that wasn't my intent. Because you cannot control the other person's way of thinking. Does that make sense to everybody? Right, we cannot control how they hear it. We can control how we say it, but the filter will decide how they hear it. And they control the filter, you don't. And they control the filter with how their day is going. So the next day you could say exactly the same thing. It would go through the filter and they'd burst out laughing. Why? They've got a much cleaner filter that day. And their wall is not up the same way. Hi, Jamie. And so what I've said to people is, make sure you get the intent right, that they know what the intent was. It may not change their mind. That's beyond your control, right? What they do with that is up to them, not up to you. But you do, I believe, have the decency to be able to say, hey, I'm so sorry that upset you. It was never my intent. My intent was to make you laugh with this. And unfortunately, I obviously picked a bad day. And leave it. Because it's not about you. It is about the way they heard it. And that's their responsibility, not yours. I wonder if that makes sense. All right, so we've got 15 minutes left. Is there anything anybody particularly wants to get off their chest today before I close? I'm going to keep on going if not, but if you've got anything you'd like to talk about, let me know now. And in the meantime, I'm going to read another quote. To change one's life, start immediately, do it flamboyantly, no exceptions and no excuses. William James said that. To change one's life, start immediately, do it flamboyantly, and no exceptions, no excuses. Wow. All right. Yeah, I need to stick that one on my wall, on my mirror this week. Start immediately, do it flamboyantly, and no excuses. How many things would we get done this week if we had that in front of us all the time? That's a great quote. How many of you can now see me flamboyantly, packing boxes? Yes, Linda thought of Liberace. Yeah, that's for those of you who may be older. Liberace, very famous piano player of my decade and or my lifetime, and gay as you can imagine in the days when being gay was frowned upon, and yet he was so flamboyant about everything he did. It was just, I loved him for it. It was just like, how many candelabra could he have on his white piano? He always came in with, huge capes, sparkling, diamante or sequins or whatever, huge feather boas. And, it was like he was laughing at the world in his own way. How many of you know, if you go back to Elton John's original time of being, if you think about it, Elton John was never what I call a good looking guy, nor was he particularly, what should I say, noticeable in a lot of ways, yet he was incredibly creative and still is incredibly creative. What he did was he started to wear really big glasses and funny hats and things to be noticed. And how many of you are going, that's true, right? Whenever you saw him, it was Lady Gaga, another example of somebody who does life flamboyantly. She wanted to send some messages and she did. And look where it took her. Now, you can like it or not, but the whole reality is, did it work? Yeah, Boob's saying, learn to whistle while you work. If you're going to do something, enjoy doing it, I would say. It's like, they'll go, oh, I've got to pack another box. I need to be able to say, hey, I only have to do one box today. If I did one box a day, I'll get 7 boxes done this week. So let's get at it. Let's do it, as they say. Yes, I think flamboyance, it doesn't make you a lot of friends necessarily being flamboyant, but it does get things done. The other thing, for those of you who are musical, if you're musical, put on a beat, something, because you'll find that you can do things to the beat and actually dance your way through it, because that's exercise as well. Some of you have seen me say that I found out just doing this, I can raise my heart rate up about 40 points, just literally doing this, not getting up and walking, not doing anything. So I've done it lying down in bed. I've done it when I really don't feel like doing anything. The excuse is, I don't have an excuse not to do something to raise my heart rate, because this you can do almost anywhere. And my heart rate is already up. It's like it's already up to 72. So this is like not what you'd call hard work, right? But what it does is it makes all your muscles work. It's pumping blood through my system, whether I like it or not. And so the question that I have is, are you aware? I'm up to 77 now, how much you can do. And if you keep on doing it and don't stop, you understand it's building on the previous number. So we are now up to 79, and here we go again, right? And I'm going to keep just doing this a little bit longer, just so that you can see it's about sustained effort means sustained results. We're up to 81. And what happens if we speed it up a bit? Oh, what if we raise it up a bit? Oh, look at all those waggly bits being forced to work. Not pretty, but I really don't care. I'm trying to prove a point. I'm now up to 83. And let's do some more. Yeah, Boob, it's amazing if you've got 86. So do you understand? I'm not going to keep doing it, but do you understand? I can take my resting heart rate is about 55 now, but I can bring it up. I nearly brought it up. It's 88 now. All right. So you understand it's possible to bring it right up, and you don't have to move away from your computer. Yeah, I actually know it, my fabulous watch actually shows me. Hang on, I'm going to show you this, Boo, because it is important, and I watch it. It actually shows me at the bottom here. You see, it's got 3 different levels. I don't know if you can see that. It's got 3 little dots. And as I move my heart rate up, it'll move from the bottom dot to the middle one and then to the top one. So don't overrate yourself is a very good point. But my watch allows, tells me that I'm into the top zone. And when I get into the top zone, I just do a little bit and then stop. 101. So even though I've stopped, do you understand? It's still having the effect. By the way, for those of you who are capable of doing it, going up and down your steps a couple of times, 4 times up and down your steps, you'll be amazed what it does to your heart rate. Now, I know a lot of you are trying to lower your heart rate. But the truth is, sometimes doing exercise first will actually then, I'm amazed how I've dropped my heart rate. I have literally come off my heart meds since I've retired. I've been able to not push myself so hard. I've changed the way I eat. I've done a lot of things. And I came off my heart meds over a year ago. And each time I go to my doctor, he says to me, wow, I can't believe your heart, the numbers, I think they normally come in at about 130 over 70. Without any medication, and I am 70. So, he just goes, how did you do that? What age did I retire? I retired at 67. I was just about to turn 68. So really, it's 68. It'll be 2 years next month. Oh, at the end of this month, actually. Yeah. So, and then I will be, my birthday's next month, near the end of August. So I turn 71 next month. So, it's really interesting that you can change what you do. You heard earlier on how I changed my sleeping now because I found out more information about my sleeping. And so the whole thing I would ask you to do, and I don't think we can stop on a better quote than this one, which is, if you want to change anything, where did those 2 years go? I quite agree, Linda. And I want to tell you something. You remember that when you were a kid, each year took so much time. I want to tell you, once you start, I used to think that 40 was the top. I think after 50, the time goes so quickly. All right, to change one's life, start immediately. Whatever it is you're trying to change. Have you all got something in your mind that you want to change this week? If not, can you get something in your mind that you'd like to change this week? And do it, make that commitment. You don't have to fix everything about this. Just literally think of one thing and start immediately. That means do something tonight and go, or today, however small, just do one thing. Boob, I always love your humor on these things. And then do whatever it is with energy and with love. Wow, this is incredible. For those of you who don't know, the person who's just come in, I'm not going to mention her name because I know she doesn't like that, but a viewer from the days of Blog TV. So I'm going to be looking into living in a physical rehab pain management place. I have an appointment for a referral tomorrow. I am so pleased to hear that, where they can actually control you, and the pain that you go through. I am so happy to hear that. I quite honestly, viewer, and I know who you are, I'm just so happy you're still around. But the fact that you're actually going to be looking into getting proper care, I think is wonderful. And for those of you who don't know, she is suffering from a lot of different issues, and another person that is in a wheelchair. Yeah, so big hugs. Jody, I wonder if you could just take the first part of that name to remind me. I won't talk about who it is, but I certainly would like to send thoughts and prayers there. Can you let me know? Yeah, I'm actually, what I'm going to do is call you BoobTube viewer, not BoobTube viewer. Sorry, I got BoobTube here. I'm going to call you what was it called? Blog TV viewer. All right. And I think a lot of people, even if I said that, the people who knew you way back when will probably know who I'm talking about. So, but nobody else will. So is that okay with you? I'd like to get some thoughts and prayers for you on that one. Yes, please let us know how it goes. That is awesome. For the rest of you, nobody asked what I'm doing for dinner. I actually knew that I wasn't well this week, and so I planned an easy dinner. I actually did, yeah, there can only be one boob tube. I actually have done a chicken casserole, actually more a chicken gumbo. You weren't on blog. Oh, it's interesting. I thought you were with us in the days of blog. On Tiny Chat. Okay, the early days of Tiny Chat, though. With Glenn and who else? Who else can you remember? Ozzy, obviously. How can we forget? Yeah, it's been a hot day here as well, Linda, so I understand that. Anyway, what I've done is a chicken gumbo, and I've, literally, I don't know if any of you have ever done that. I bought one of those sort of, it's like a little container, plastic container full of different things that you put into a stock pot. And then I've added certain things, and I will go now and go taste it. And now I will top up the taste to where I want it to be. But that's been cooking away since lunchtime. You're the whole reason I found Tiny Chat. There you go, you see. All right, everybody. So big hugs to you all. I hope that this has made some sense. We like to do this broadcast on a Sunday because I think getting centered and calming things down and realizing we cannot change other people and doing things at our speed, we need to be reminded of that so we can go into the week at a very different space. And you are allowed to make mistakes. And if you get yourself out of control, then the way that we solve it is to take, as we said, breathe in 5 times for 5, count of 5, hold it for the count of 5, breathe out for the count of 5. If you get a panic attack, breathe in for the count of 5, hold it for the count of 5, and let go for 5. The reason that works is it's slowing everything down. And then when you've got that going really well, do it for 6 seconds, 6 counts in, 6 counts hold, 6 counts out. And I found that if I do that really and concentrate it, I can get up to almost 10 counts in, 10 counts hold, 10 counts out. And you understand what that's doing to my body, how much oxygen is being taken in on the count of 10, how much then I hold it so that oxygen can do its job and then exhale whatever the bad stuff is. Yeah, boob tube saying, so long. I don't say goodbye because that's forever. So long for now, right? Yeah, it's quite right. The French say au revoir, and it means until we meet again. So, or a bientôt. So yeah, this is really important that until we meet again on a broadcast. I'm going to work on that one, Boob. I'm going to find myself a new thing that I can say. In the meantime, however, remember to look after one another because that's what everybody in this room is here for. Everybody here needs support in some way because they're human. But most of all, remember to look after yourself. You need to be spending as much time looking after you as you do looking after everybody else. And that's very difficult for most of us. But if you do that, you will live a happier life. That is my promise to you. All right, everybody, this is a big hug. And we'll see you again on Friday. And if you want to know what time, just understand at any time during the week or whenever you want to, just go to DearMamaSal.com. And on the right-hand side, there is a tab, I think, that says broadcast times as well. So you can just click on the tab and it'll tell you when the broadcasts are. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you so much for watching. Most of all, thank you for discussing stuff. It is in the discussion that we help other people and obviously ourselves. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.